In the quiet heart of the Appalachian Mountains, there lies a town called a place that feels more like a memory than a mapped a place, where time has softened the edges of everything and life moves to the rhythm of the wind through the trees. Here the Whittaker family has lived for generations, tucked deep among the hollers and gravel roads where the sun reaches the valley only in pieces when the morning fog begins to lift. The Whittakers are no strangers to attention, but today feels different. Today is about something simple, something joyful, something that will leave them smiling long after the day is done. It is haircut day, a small thing for most people, but here it carries a kind of quiet celebration. It means newness. It means care. It means somebody thought enough of them to come all this way just to help them feel a little better about themselves. Larry is the first to appear on the porch. He grins with that familiar spark in his eyes, a gentle laugh under his breath as he calls out to the visitors, "Hey, how are you? How's everyone doing?" His voice echoes against the hollow like an old song carried by the breeze behind him. Betty steps out, smoothing her shirt with her hands, her hair catching the sunlight. She smiles too shyly at first, but warming as she greets the guest. Ray sits quietly near the edge of the porch, his gaze fixed on the dogs running through the yard. Timmy is somewhere close by, probably tinkering with something or just wandering in that easy way he has. Soon the whole family gathers around and the conversation starts flowing in that slow, unhurried rhythm that's so unique to mountain life. They talk about the weather, how spring has finally arrived, and how the rain's been heavy but good for the garden. They talk about trucks, because around here every story somehow leads back to a truck. Ree grins as he mentions his new one. The old truck finally gave out, so they had to make a decision: spend more money fixing what keeps breaking, or take a leap of faith on another beat-up but dependable ride. They scraped together what they could, $3,000 down, $300 a month, until it's paid off. A big step for anyone, but a proud one for them. Larry laughs as he explains it wasn't just about wanting a truck, it was about needing it. You need wheels in these parts. He says, can't get to town, can't haul wood, can't live right without a truck. They all nod because they know it's true in this part of the world. A vehicle isn't just transportation, it's independence. Lauren joins the group, her voice soft and kind. She's been helping out lately, checking and making sure everyone's okay. She introduces herself to those she hasn't met before, and soon there's laughter again. Lauren meets Larry, Betty, Ray, and Timmy, each name passed around like an introduction among old friends. It's a moment of connection that feels genuine, not staged, not forced. Larry jokes that his name sounds like Lorraine, and they laugh about how similar it is. Lorraine, Larry, Lorena, Lauren. The sounds twist together like family names that have been part of the same story forever. The conversation drifts from names to weather, and from weather to plans. Larry mentions that spring is here finally, and Betty nods with a quiet smile. Spring means light again, warmth again, maybe even hope again after the long cold winter that always seems harder than the last. Timmy appears, laughing a little as he walks up and says he's ready for a haircut. Ray chuckles. He's not sure about getting his own haircut, but the others encourage him. They tease him gently about needing it, about how he'll feel fresh again afterwards. Ray grins, that shy grin that says he likes the attention even if he pretends otherwise. Kenneth walks up next, a friend or maybe a cousin out here. Everyone is a bit of both. He's been working hard chopping wood 8 hours a day, sometimes more when there's work to be done. He says proudly that he's lucky to be working. Larry grins and says, well, somebody's got to work around here, and everyone bursts out laughing, the kind of laughter that makes you forget for a second how heavy life can be. They talk about visitors, people from far away who have written letters or come by to say hello, some from Alabama, some from other states, and even other countries. The Whittakers talk about them like they're old friends, kind people who write often, who bring food or small gifts or just kind words. The family feels that connection deeply because it reminds them they are seen and cared for. Lauren listens with warmth. She's been filming for a while now, documenting their lives, not to exploit them, but to tell their story honestly, with humanity and respect. Over time, the family has come to trust her. They know she sees them for who they are, not who the world imagines them to be. Ray mentions how one of the visitors has been calling every night just to check in. He smiles when he says it because it feels good to know someone out there remembers them every single day. It's a small thing, a phone call, but it means the world. As they talk, the dogs bark in the distance, one limping a little from an old injury. Larry bends down to pat it gently and tells the story of how it got run over one day, how it healed, but still walks with a bit of a limp. Life is fragile here. But there's love in every gesture. They shift to talk to Jason, another member of the family who's been away for a while but is back now. There's some history. There's some old wounds and tension, but also love. They say he's out of jail and doing better. The filmmaker hopes to talk to him later. Maybe help him tell his story too. Because every person here carries a story of survival and struggle and faith. The day carries on and the energy is good. It's light. There's laughter again when Larry says he gave Ray a bath that morning, cleaned him up good, and Ray nods proudly. Clean and ready for the day. They joke about shaving, about who needs it. Most about how fresh they'll all look when the haircuts are done. It's a simple joy, but it fills the yard with warmth. Betty listens and smiles from her chair. She doesn't say much, but her eyes show everything: kindness, strength, gratitude. She's the heart of this family in so many ways, the one who keeps calm when the world feels hard around her. She talks quietly about how cold the winter was, how they got through it burning wood every day to keep warm. She says the snow was light this year, but the chill hung on. Larry points out how you can see daylight through the cracks in the wall near the stove. He laughs about it, but it's true. Their home is seen better. Days the boards shift with the seasons, the floor dips where the creek sometimes floods, but they stay strong, always patching what they can and praying for the rest. The talk drifts to the future, what they'd do if they had more money, maybe buy a better place down the road. There's a double wide, someone mentioned, with a concrete foundation and a solid driveway. They dream out loud, not in a greedy way, but in a hopeful one, the kind of dreaming that helps you push through the hard days. Soon it's time to get ready for the trip to Beckley, where the haircuts will happen. They start gathering things: shoes, coats, keys, the small tasks that come before every outing. Timmy's shoes are untied, so the host bends down to tie them for him, joking that you can't go get a haircut with untied shoes. Ray laughs and says, "Thank you," the kind of thank you that means more than it sounds. There talk of lunch, maybe Hardee's afterward, maybe just heading home with full stomachs and clean hair. Betty says she likes cooking better than eating out, though she lists off beans, fried potatoes, spaghetti, macaroni, and cheese. She says it's different every night, and everyone agrees it's always good. The car finally loads up, Ray in the back smiling. Lauren in the driver's seat. Larry in front. The road stretches out before them, twisting through the hills toward town. The air feels lighter, like the start of something new. As they drive, they talk about the past, about family photos that were lost in a fire. Betty says her brother burned them all. Nobody knows why. Maybe anger, maybe confusion, maybe just carelessness. It hurts to think of those memories. Gone, the pictures of them as children, gone forever. The past lost to smoke and ashes. Lauren listens quietly, her eyes soft with empathy. She wishes she could have seen those pictures. She wishes she could have shown the world how beautiful they were. Even then, they talk about how the world has changed, about the visitors who've come and gone, about the kindness of strangers, and how it feels to be known after all these years. The filmmaker says these visits have made life better, and Larry agrees. The family nods together. Yes, it's been better. The truck bumps along the gravel road. Betty looks out the window and says, "It's beautiful this time of year." She's right. The mountains roll like waves and the trees are starting to bloom. Everything feels alive again. Ray holds a brush in his hand, ready for his haircut. He smiles like he's already picturing how fresh he'll look and maybe how proud he'll feel afterward. The others tease him gently, but with love, and the laughter returns. It's not just a haircut day for them. It's a reminder that they matter, that people care, that life, even in its hardest places, can still surprise you with kindness. They're not just getting haircuts. They're being reminded of their dignity and of their place in a world that too often forgets the quiet corners where families like theirs live and love and keep going no matter what. The journey continues, and the laughter carries over the hum of the tires as odd fades behind them. The Whittakers are on their way to something small but meaningful, a day they'll never forget. The road from Odd to Beckley winds through green valleys and rising hills, and the Whittakers sit together as the miles roll by. The air feels lighter today, full of laughter and that kind of warmth that comes when people have something to look forward to. The windows are cracked just enough for the breeze to dance through, and Betty hums quietly along to an old country song that plays low on the radio. Larry sits up front, pointing out familiar places along the way. There's the old store That closed down 10 years ago, he says, and the bridge where the water rises high after the rains. Lauren listens with a soft smile, her eyes fixed on the road, but her mind soaking in every story. Every sound, every heartbeat of this small corner of America that still feels untouched by time. Ray sits in the back with Timmy. They talk about little things, the kind of talk that fills the space between moments. How good it'll feel to get a haircut, how strange it is to have cameras following them, and how folks from far away care enough to write letters and send pictures. Lauren tells them that people all over the world have watched their videos and think of them as family now, and Ray nods shyly. He says they are good people, and you can tell he means it. The truck hums steadily up the hills and down through the valleys. Betty leans her arm against the door and stares out at the trees. She says it's pretty this time of year, the mountains turning that deep shade of green that only happens in early spring. She says when the sun hits just right. The hills look alive, like they're breathing. She talks about how she loves the sound of the creek at night, even when it floods a little, and how the frogs start singing right after the rain stops. They talk about the winter and how cold it was. Larry says he burned wood every day and still couldn't keep the chill off. Betty laughs and says she wore 2 pairs of socks and 3 sweaters. Larry shakes his head, says the old stove is good, but the cracks in the floor let too much air through. Timmy says he saw light through the boards, and everyone laughs again. Lauren asks if they've ever thought about moving somewhere else, maybe closer to town. Betty shakes her head slow. She says this is home, always has been, always will be. Larry agrees, says even if the roof leaks and the walls shake in the wind, it's theirs, and that means something. They keep driving, and talk turns to Jason again, the one who's back home now. Larry says he's changed some, he's quieter, but maybe wiser too. Lauren says she's looking forward to talking with him after the haircuts, maybe giving him a chance to tell his story on camera. Betty says she hopes it goes well because Jason can be hard to read. He's had a tough life and carries things deep inside him, but she believes in forgiveness and second chances. They pass a church on the left side of the road, a small white building with a wooden sign that says welcome. Sunday service at 10. The paint is peeling and the steeple leans a little, but the flowers out front are bright yellow and full of life. Larry says they used to go there sometimes when his mama was still around. Betty smiles, remembering. She says they'd walk down that dirt road every Sunday, rain or shine, and afterward there was always fried chicken and biscuits at home. The truck slows as they come into Beckley, the streets busier than what they're used to, people walking in and out of stores, cars lined along the curbs. The family gets quiet for a moment. The noise and pace feel different than the calm of odd, but Lauren reminds them they're here for something good, something simple. They pull up to the Appalachian Barber Shop, a small building with a red and white striped pole out front. The door swings open with the jingle of a bell, and the scent of shampoo and shaving cream fills the air. The barbers smile as the group steps inside. They've been expecting them. Larry takes a seat first, joking that he needs the biggest haircut of all. Betty laughs and says no, he doesn't. He looks fine, but Larry insists, saying he wants to look sharp today. The barber drapes the cape over his shoulders and begins cutting, and with every snip of the scissors, Larry's grin grows wider. He looks in the mirror and says it feels like losing 10 pounds. Ray sits nearby, waiting his turn. The camera catches him brushing his hair with quiet focus. He's nervous, you can see it in the way his fingers twitch, but when his turn comes, he sits down bravely. The barber asks how he wants it cut, and Ray says just short or clean. He closes his eyes as the clippers buzz, and there's a small smile on his face. Betty watches from her chair. She says softly that it's nice seeing them taken care of. She says it makes her heart full to see them feeling proud and clean again. She doesn't get her own haircut today. She says she likes it long, the way it falls naturally over her shoulders. Timmy's next, and everyone laughs when the barber jokes about trimming his curls. He giggles, says he wants to look like Curly from the Three Stooges, but not too short. The barber nods, says he's got it covered. Timmy watches himself in the mirror and grins wide when he sees the final result. The others clap and cheer like he just won a prize. Lauren stands quietly off to the side, filming everything, her voice steady as she asks gentle questions about how it feels to be here, about what this day means to them. Larry says it feels good, like someone cares again. Betty says it feels like a family day, something simple but full of love. Ray says he feels lighter, cleaner, better, and everyone agrees. After the haircuts, the group steps Outside into the sunlight, the breeze cool against their freshly cut hair, they stand for a moment just soaking it in. Larry runs his hand through his hair and laughs. Betty says they all look handsome now, even Timmy, who's still touching his curls. To make sure they're even, Lauren smiles, says they look perfect. They decide to stop for lunch before heading home. Hardee's is the choice, everyone's favorite spot in town. They walk in and order burgers, fries, and sweet tea. The cashier recognizes them from the videos and smiles wide, says she's happy to see them again. They take a booth by the window and eat slow, talking between bites. Larry tells stories from when he was younger about working on cars and hunting in the woods with his father. Betty listens with a faraway look in her eyes, remembering her own childhood, how her mother used to braid her hair every Sunday before church, how the family would sit on the porch singing hymns until dark. Ray talks about the first time he drove a truck, how nervous he was and how proud his uncle was when he made it down the road without stalling. Lauren asks, what makes them happiest in life? Larry says family, Betty says kindness, Ray says peace, Timmy says laughter. They all agree those are good answers. They don't need much to be content, just each other and a few people who care. When lunch is done, they head back out to the parking lot. The sky has turned brighter. Now the clouds pulled apart by the wind, the world feels wide open. The family stands together for a picture, smiling, genuine and unposed. Lauren thanks them for letting her be part of their day, and they thank her back for caring, for listening, for bringing them something to look forward to in the drive home. They talk about the day, how good it feels to have fresh haircuts and full stomachs. Larry jokes that he looks like a movie star. Betty laughs, says he might be right. Ray hums quietly under his breath, and Timmy leans his head against the window watching. The trees blur by the road, winds again through the mountains, and the sunlight flickers through the branches like a strobe of golden light. They pass familiar landmarks. The old school, the rusted bridge, the little creek that always seems to run higher. After rain, Betty points out the way the light hits the water and says it looks like silver running through the hills. They talk about how much things have changed since people started visiting, writing, calling, sending gifts, and how at first it felt strange, like being watched, but now it feels different. It feels like being remembered. Lauren says that's what community really is, people seeing each other and caring even from far away. Larry says he never thought he'd see the day when folks from other states or even other countries would care about them. He says he used to think the world had forgotten places like this, but now he knows better. Betty agrees, says kindness can find you anywhere, even down a gravel road in odd West Virginia. The conversation drifts to the future again. Maybe they'll fix up the house, maybe they'll plant a bigger garden, maybe Jason will join them next time. Maybe life will keep surprising them in good ways they don't know, but they hope as they climb the last hill before home. The air feels warm, the kind of warmth that settles deep in the bones and makes you thankful for the day. Larry says it's been one of the best days he can remember. Betty nods, Ray smiles, and Timmy says he wants another haircut next month. Everyone laughs because they know he means it. When they pull into the yard, the dogs come running, barking happily. The sun sits low over the hills, painting everything in shades of gold and orange. The family climbs out of the truck, one by one, stretching, smiling, still talking about lunch, about the barber, about the kind people they met. Lauren turns off the camera for a moment, just to stand there quietly to take in the piece of it all. She looks at them standing together and knows this is what the work is really about, not the views or the fame, but moments like this, small, real human moments that show the world what love looks like when it's stripped of everything fancy or false. Larry heads toward the porch. Betty follows slowly, holding her bag of leftovers. Ray walks the dog to the side yard. Timmy waves at the camera before disappearing inside the house. The day winds down softly like a song fading on a warm breeze. As the sun dips behind the trees, Lauren whispers that this day will stay with her for a long time, and she's right, because it isn't just about haircuts or cameras or YouTube. It's about dignity, it's about connection, it's about being seen and loved in a world that sometimes forgets the quiet people who hold it all together without asking for anything in return. The Whittakers may not have much, but what they do have runs deeper than money or fame. They have kindness. They have each other, and for them that's everything. Tomorrow will bring its own rhythm. The creek will rise and fall, the dogs will bark, the wind will hum through the trees, and life will keep going just as it always has. But today, this simple day, of haircuts, laughter, and care will live in their memory as a day they'll never forget. Evening settles slow across the mountains, and the Whittaker home glows in the last light of day. The hills are painted in soft gold and lavender, and the sounds of the creek hum in the distance. The world feels calm here, peaceful in a way that makes you breathe deeper, like the earth itself is sighing after a long day. The family sits together outside, letting the warm breeze brush against their faces, the smell of wood smoke still hanging faintly in the air. Larry leans back in his chair, stretching his legs and grinning. He says he hasn't felt this fresh in years. The haircut made him feel like a new man. Betty laughs, says he looks handsome, and he chuckles, saying he might just be ready for a Hollywood movie now. Ray sits nearby, running his fingers through his newly cut hair, shyly smiling every time someone mentions how good he looks. Timmy keeps brushing the sides of his head as if he can't quite believe how short it is. Lauren watches them quietly from the steps. She doesn't say much, just listens and smiles. She knows these moments matter more than anything else. No lights, no script, no pretense, just life happening as it is. She thinks about how far they've come, not just the miles from Beckley, but the journey of being seen, of being treated with gentleness and respect after years of being misunderstood. Betty starts talking about the people who have reached out since their story first spread. Folks from all over the country sending letters, drawings, even care packages. Some send small things like soap or blankets. Others send books or photos, and every one of them carries a message of love and kindness. Betty says she reads every letter twice because it feels like hearing from friends she's never met. Larry nods and says it's strange how people you've never seen can feel closer than those just down the road. Ray says sometimes he thinks about all the people who watch them online. He wonders what they see, what they think of their life here in Odd. He says he hopes that they see kindness, not just struggle. Lauren tells him they do. She says people see honesty, they see family, they see heart, and that's why the world cares so much. The talk drifts to old memories. Larry starts telling stories about when he was young, when the mountains seemed bigger and the days longer. He talks about how he and his brothers used to fish in the creek, catching minnows in old jars, and how they'd roast potatoes in the fire till the skins turned black. Betty adds her own memories of childhood, how she'd run barefoot through the grass and chase lightning bugs in jars, how the nights felt endless and full of stars. Ray laughs softly, saying he remembers sleeping on the porch in the summer when the house got too hot. They fall quiet for a while, just listening to the evening sounds, the chirp of crickets, the rustle of leaves, the dogs moving lazily in the yard. Somewhere a rooster still calls even though the sun is nearly gone. Lauren breathes in the air, thick with the scent of grass and rain and wood smoke. She feels grateful to be here to witness this life, as it is not perfect, not polished, but pure. Larry gets up after a while, says he wants to show everyone something. He walks toward the shed behind the house. The old boards creak as he pulls open the door inside. It's dim, but there's a small light bulb hanging from the ceiling. He flips it on, and the room glows with the warmth of memory. There are tools hanging on the walls, jars filled with nails, pieces of wood neatly stacked in the corner and in the back. A few old photos taped to the wall, faded but precious. He points to one that's half burned at the edges. It's an old family photo, the only one that survived the fire. Betty walks over, her hand covering her mouth. She says softly that she thought all of them were gone. Larry says he found this one tucked behind an old Bible, safe from the flames. The picture shows them younger, smiling, standing together in front of the same porch they stand on now, the same hills behind them. Time has passed, but the feeling in the photo hasn't changed. Betty tears up a little, says it's like seeing ghosts. Larry puts an arm around her shoulder, says it's like seeing blessings. He says maybe it survived for a reason, maybe to remind them that not everything gets lost. Lauren takes a photo of the photo, preserving it again in a new way through her lens. They step back outside and sit again under the fading light, the sky deepening into blue and violet. Betty brings out 2 glasses of sweet tea, the kind that tastes like sunlight. She pours for Lauren and Larry and sits down again. The conversation turns to the future, what they hope for, what they dream about. Larry says he wants to fix the roof before next winter. He says he's tired of putting buckets down when it rains. Betty says she wants to plant more flowers around the porch. She likes the way color changes how a place feels. Ray says he wants to get another dog someday, maybe one that's small enough to sleep inside. And Timmy says he just wants more sunny days when everyone's laughing. Lauren listens and asks what happiness means to them. Larry says happiness is a full tank of gas and a clear sky. Betty says happiness is hearing laughter in the house again. Ray says happiness is waking up and knowing you're loved. Timmy says it's all of that together. And they all agree that sounds just about right. Night creeps in slow, and the stars begin to appear one by one. Larry points up and says he knows them all by heart. The Big Dipper, the North Star, and that one bright one, he says that's his mama watching over them. Betty says she believes that too. She says some nights when she can't sleep, she looks out the window and talks to the stars, just to feel close to those who are gone. Lauren feels the weight of that silence, that sacred kind of quiet that fills the air when people speak from the heart. She says softly that she thinks those who are gone never really leave. They stay in the wind and the water and the warmth that touches your face on days like this. Betty smiles, says that sounds true. Ray starts humming low a tune from somewhere deep in memory, maybe a church song, maybe something his father used to sing. The others join softly. Larry tapping his hand on his knee, keeping time, the harmony rough but real. The sound rises into the night, mingling with the hum of the hills. It's a kind of music that can't be written, only felt. When the song fades, Larry laughs, says he's hungry again. Betty shakes her head, says he's always hungry. She goes inside and comes back with a plate of biscuits from earlier, still warm. They pass them around, butter melting slow, the taste simple and comforting, the kind of food that feels like home. Lauren watches the way they share everything without thinking, the way one person's joy becomes everyone's, the way they laugh through hardship and hold on to each other even when the world feels distant. She thinks about how people online see only glimpses of these moments, how they'll never quite feel the warmth of this porch or smell the biscuits, or hear the quiet hum of love in their voices. But maybe that's what makes it powerful, that even through a screen, the truth of their hearts shines through. Larry looks at her and says, "Thank you." He says, "Not for the filming, not for the help, but for just being here." She says she should be the one thanking them for letting her in, for letting the world in, for trusting her with their story. Betty says it's been good for them all. She says people care now in ways they never imagined. They talk about the next visit, about maybe going into town again for new clothes or groceries, maybe getting Jason on camera next time. Larry says he'd like that, but only if Jason feels ready. Betty agrees. She says he needs to find peace first. She knows he's trying. The night deepens. The fireflies come out blinking like tiny stars near the ground. Ray sits quietly watching them with a childlike wonder. He says they look like magic. Betty nods, says she used to catch them in jars when she was little and keep them by her bed till morning. The conversation slows, but the feeling lingers, deep, steady, gentle. Lauren leans back, closes her eyes for a moment, and just listens. The night carries sounds of frogs and crickets, of water moving through the creek, and somewhere far off the faint call of an owl. The world feels alive and ancient at the same time. Larry says softly that he hopes people watching their videos understand something about them, that they're just folks living their life, doing the best they can, loving who they are and where they come from. Betty says she hopes people see the good, not just the struggle, that they see the strength and the love that holds this family together. Lauren promises she makes sure of it. She tell their story the right way, not with pity but with pride. She show the world the beauty of simplicity, the grace in everyday survival, and the power of small kindnesses. As the night winds down, Betty gathers the cups and plates. Larry stays outside looking up at the stars. Ray hums again under his breath, and Timmy has already fallen asleep. On the couch inside, the hum of crickets fills the silence. Lauren quietly thanks them again before packing up her camera. She says she'll be back soon, and they tell her she's always welcome. The door creaks closed, the porch light flickers, and the hills settle back into their familiar rhythm of dark and quiet. The Whittakers drift toward rest, hearts full from a day that was both ordinary and unforgettable. It was a day of laughter, haircuts, friendship, and small miracles. The kind of day that reminds everyone who sees it that love doesn't need to be loud to be real. It just needs to be shared. The air feels lighter today, the kind of peace that follows a day well lived. Their haircuts from yesterday still fresh, their spirits brighter than they've been in a long while. Lauren arrives again, camera in hand, but today she doesn't film right away. She just talks, laughs, and listens. They speak about how Good, it felt to go into town how people smiled and treated them with kindness, how it felt like being part of something larger than themselves. Betty says she hasn't stopped smiling since they got back. Larry says it's because she knows she's beautiful and everyone laughs. Lauren asks what they'll remember most. Larry says the laughter. Betty says the togetherness. Ray says feeling clean and proud. Timmy says the French fries from Hardee's, and they all laugh again. When it's time for Lauren to leave, they wave from the porch, calling out, "See you soon." Their voices carrying over the hills as she drives away. The road bends and the house disappears behind the trees, but the sound of their laughter stays in her heart forever, because in that little town called Odd, something beautiful happened. A simple day became a memory. A haircut became hope. Thank you for watching this video. Click here to watch another video that might interest you.